These are the odds. Just to recap, Atletico Madrid 16-1 outsiders. Real Madrid very much behind Barcelona in terms of the odds makers. Remember, Barca won it by some distance last year. And Sid, I wanted your thoughts on Atletico Madrid because it seems like a new start. It's been certainly an off-season of change for them. All the ins and outs. It feels like an end of an era. Griezmann gone. Of course, Godin on his way. Joao Felix headlining all the big moves in. This is how they lined up for a pre-season friendly today against Numancia. It was a game they won quite comfortably in the end, 3-0. Diego Costa and Morata up front. Joao Felix did start the game a little worryingly, had to hobble off just before the half-hour mark. So given that starting 11, quite an attacking look to it, is it going to be a different Atletico Madrid this season under Diego Simeone?
I think that's what we're all asking ourselves, and I think that's what the early signs are now. And I think the key thing to say here is that this isn't just a huge turnover of names, which of course it is as well. It's the identity of those players. It's the kind of football that they represent, that they symbolise, and it certainly feels at this stage that this by definition forces a change of style on Atletico Madrid, that it feels like Diego Simeone is effectively building an entirely new team. Now, today they played with quite an attacking team. They played with Joao Felix pushed to one side. I was at their training session a couple of days ago where they were trying to structure a very clear 4-3-1-2. Joao Felix genuinely being allowed to play in a number 10 role, which I think is a shift for Atletico Madrid. Certainly it's a shift if you look at a number 10 role behind two forwards, not just one. You look at the nature of the kind of players they're bringing in, and this does feel like it should be a very, very different Atletico Madrid team. The problem with this, of course, is that we've been through processes a little bit like this before. Not as dramatic as this in terms of the shift, but a little bit like this before, where they've started seasons being a bit more expansive, being a bit more creative, and they've reached a point at which they thought, we don't really believe in this. And they've kind of gone back to what they know, gone back to what it is that they really feel kind of represents them and is their identity. And so that's the question I think we've all got, which is that if they do change, how long does it last? Can they see this through? And then, of course, we get to the big question, which is, and can it work?
Are you buying it, Ali? Can a leopard change its spots?
Well, no, because the leopard still has Diego Simeone running the show. And so what we're talking about is Diego Simeone allowing this team to be expansive and creative and a team that is dynamic in the attack and all those things. But the reason that Sid is referring to the idea of them not trusting it is because Diego Simeone himself does not trust the possibility of them being dynamic and expansive and creative and all these other things that you see the names out on the field, you think, well, wait a minute, this doesn't match the let's win a game 1-0. That seemed to walk out the door the same time that Diego Godin was walking out the door. And that's the identity of the club, just kind of going that way. And this whole personality and structure, not only of the team, but a club itself, just kind of going in one direction, and the signings that you're having now going in a entirely different direction. Somewhere in between is what Atletico Madrid is, and I just don't think that Diego Simeone truly believes in going in the direction of being attacking.
Yeah. Can a club change its DNA as drastically as we're talking about?
They can change it, but not as quickly as this. You know, and the worrying thing for me is whoever wins La Liga, right?
Yeah.
They usually lose 4 games. And if you're starting the season off where you don't know how you're going to play, and even the way you start, you don't know whether you're going to stick with it, you can't afford to lose games. And you can't afford to lose games not against Barcelona or Real Madrid. You can't afford to lose games against other teams in the league, because if you lose too many, before you know it, you've no chance of winning the championship anyway. So it's a huge gamble.
The success of coaches around the world, they hang on to something. So a guy like Simeone, it's all about the fight and the identity and believing in the club and defensive work, and everybody works at the same pace and everybody's going to defend and all those things. That's how his teams have been successful, and that's what he believes in. The moment this starts going in a different direction that doesn't quite apply to all those things that I just mentioned, it makes it uncomfortable for Simeone. And I'm going to tell you, the moment those results don't go the way they want it, he's going to pull it back and say, no, wait a minute. We got to go back to what we do best.
Do you know the worst thing that you can do as a coach is be unsure? And when you're setting out to play a way that you're not quite sure of, players will smell that, and then you're dead.
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.